So I had this delusional idea to watch the Broadway play of Stranger Things, which is actually the origin story of Vecna, but it's happening in the US and in United Kingdom in it. And since I not only live in a different city, but in a completely different country and on a completely different continent, going there just to watch a Broadway play would be pretty stupid. So I did what every broke fan does. I did research, scrolled some Wikipedia pages, read Reddit posts, went down multiple rabbit holes, and now I'm here to give you the complete origin story of Henry Creel, aka Vecna. Alright, that was stupid, but anyway, let's go. The story begins with a prologue set in 1943, where the United States Navy conducts Project Rainbow, also known as the Philadelphia Experiment, on a ship called the USS Eldridge. The Navy is trying to create a force field that would make their ship completely invisible and undetectable to German radar. Kinda like teleportation. They somewhat succeed in their mission, but instead of reaching a different country, they accidentally rip through space-time and enter Dimension X, which we now know as the Abyss. After they get there, Demogorgons and other monsters start cooking the crew and kill everybody. But the captain of the ship somehow survives, and it is later revealed that he is none other than Dr. Brenner's father. Yeah, Papa's Papa. He manages to return to Earth, but something has changed in his body. And this is what inspires a young Dr. Brenner to spend his entire life trying to reach that world again. The scene cuts to Hawkins, Indiana, 1959. A young Henry Creel arrives in town with his parents, Victor and Virginia, and his sister Alice, hoping for a fresh start after something mysterious happened back in Nevada, where they previously lived. Henry remains the quiet and mentally disturbed kid just as we saw in the show. On his first day at school, he gets bullied like any other outsider, but a girl steps in to help him. That girl turns out to be Patty Newby, Bob Newby's sister, who later dates Joyce in the show, and she is also the daughter of the school principal. Much like the Creel son, she also feels isolated and different because she is adopted and longs to find her biological mother. We are also introduced to younger versions of Jim Hopper, Joyce, and Bob. Joyce is secretly directing an unauthorized school play titled Dark of the Moon while investigating strange events that start happening in Hawkins. Pets are suddenly being killed by something, including Dustin's mom, Claudia Henderson's cat. And Henry is the one behind all of this, though not entirely by choice, since these incidents happen while he zones out and unconsciously uses his abilities. Now, the real connection between Henry and Patty forms during the first rehearsal, when Joyce casts them in the lead roles, ironically in a story about a witch boy who wants to become human for the girl he loves. The two quickly recognize the same loneliness in each other and start developing feelings. For the first time, Henry reveals his powers to her. Instead of getting scared, she encourages Henry and says that those abilities could be used for something good. They begin meeting daily after school, sharing quiet conversations, and in one particularly sweet moment, he creates a vision for her where she feels accepted and understood, and they share their first kiss. Eventually, Henry agrees to use his psychic connection to the void to help Patty locate her birth mother, similar to how Eleven searches for people in the series. While navigating in the void, Henry loses controls again, and suddenly tentacles or vines start coming out and connect to Henry's body. Her father walks in and witnesses the scene. He gets attacked and almost killed by Henry, who has completely lost control of his powers. Now Patty encourages Henry to fight back by telling him she believes he is a good person and that she loves him. Henry responds that he loves her too, and he manages to end the situation. However, her father is badly injured and taken to the hospital. The whole incident gets published in the Hawkins newspaper. People become curious and start talking about it, but the police and the government label it as an accident and try to hide the truth. Now, after this incident, Henry's mother realizes that her son is somehow connected to what happened, so she sends him to Dr. Brenner. Now it is revealed that Virginia was being supplied with drugs by Brenner, and she told him everything about her son. In the hospital, we see Mr. Newby wakes up. He tells Patty that Henry was not the one who tried to kill him. He actually saved him from a monster. Mr. Newby draws a picture of the shadowy entity on a piece of paper and gives it to his daughter. It is none other than the Mind Flayer. Brenner then takes him to Hawkins' lab and explains that when his father returned from the Abyss, his blood had been altered by Mind Flayer particles. He later established an experiment in Nevada to reproduce what had happened to the ship. However, it turns out that one of his scientists was a Russian spy working for the Soviet Union. He stole a key technology and hid one of Nevada's cave. At that time, a very young Henry and the Creels were living nearby in Rachel, Nevada. While exploring the caves and playing with a spyglass, he stumbled upon the Russian spy, and the spy shot him in the hand, but young Henry managed to kill the spy with a rock. When he opened the suitcase, he was suddenly exposed to the Mind Flayer. He returned home after 12 hours, but his blood had been altered because of the Flayer's particles. Brenner later tracked him down after he found the spyglass Henry dropped in the caves. During an experiment, Dr. Brenner forces him to kill a prisoner, which he refuses to do. Instead, he stabs 2 guards and goes home. After returning, he senses using his powers that his family is unhappy about his return and his mother's wants to send him back to Brenner. So he allows the Mind Flayer to take over, and he kills his mother and sister before falling unconscious. His father survives, similar to what we saw in Season 4. It is revealed that everything Henry has done was because the Mind Flayer was using him as its vessel. It made him kill those pets because every time someone dies, the Mind Flayer grows stronger. But the story does not end here. You see, Henry is still in love, so he walks to Hawkins High School to run away with Patty, where the performance of Dark of the Moon is about to begin. On top of the stage, he reunites with Patty, only to be interrupted by Brenner, who appears on the other side. Brenner says that Patty is his weakness. On the other hand, Patty tells Henry not to listen to him. As he struggles for control, he tells Patty that he found her birth mother. He says that she is a singer at the Stardust Casino in Las Vegas. Brenner then forces Henry to kill Patty, saying that if he does, he will become stronger and Patty will never love a monster who killed his own family. Overwhelmed, Henry loses control again, and the Mind Flayer takes over and throws Patty off the rafters. Dr. Brenner takes Henry back to Hawkins' lab. Victor Creel is accused of murdering Virginia and Alice, partly due to Joyce, Bob, and Jim's assumptions about the animal killings. Years later, an older Henry Creel is back at Hawkins' lab, now wearing a device that controls his powers and prevents the Mind Flayer from taking over again. He becomes suspicious about Patty's death. So he uses his powers, and he discovers that Patty actually survived the fall and was discharged from the hospital. He observes her in Las Vegas, where she meets her mother backstage after a performance at the Stardust. Back at Hawkins' lab, Brenner informs Henry that the blood transfusions given to the test subjects have been successful, and as a reward, Brenner frees Henry from his restraints. In the Rainbow Room, Henry is introduced to one of the children. He looks at her and says, "Hello, 11. And that's the full origin story of Vecna, aka Henry Creel. If you love Easter eggs and hidden details, check out this video where I found 12 hidden details in Season 1 of Stranger Things.